MMA Guru reaction. That's what we're going to be doing today's live stream. If you are new to the channel, like usual, make sure to go down, subscribe, like every single one of my videos. Do what you gotta do. But for today, we're going to check out some of the MMA Guru's videos and see if they're good or not. Because I've watched maybe one, maybe two videos from MMA Guru. Couple of them are a little iffy, you know. Find some like weird predictions on there, like a knee bar submission from someone that has no knee bars. Some like scissor kick. I've seen some weird stuff on MMA Guru's channel, but I have not watched too many videos. The last one that I watched was Oliveira fought Legends while Khabib fought Plumbers. That was the last video I watched. He's made plenty since then, and we're going to look at a few of them. The first one we're going to react to in today's live stream is going to be Paddy Pimblett versus Jordan Levitt. Early prediction, and I don't know. That's what we're going to have to see. But the thumbnail, you can already see, says Paddy, underrated, with an exclamation point. And then Jordan Levitt with sus powers with the pride flag on it. That's very funny. But yeah, that's what we're going to be reacting to today. Probably going to get an ad right here, so we'll get through that one really quick. And we'll get into this reaction.
That are ruining your dating life.
Ruining your dating
Guys,
life? What ads do you have on here, MMA Guru? Yeah, let's get into the reaction.
So over the past couple of weeks, I've been wondering two things. Who is the next opponent of Paddy Pimblett? And also, is Paddy Pimblett even going to be on the UFC London card? Because the time has been counting down and he is a big guy outside of his fight camps. So I know he needs a lot of time to prepare for these fight cards. And now both of those questions have been answered. Indeed. He is fighting Jordan Levitt. He's going to be on the UFC London card. I assume he's going to be in the feature fight of UFC London as well, because the main event is Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blades. The co-main event is Jack Hermansson versus Darren Till. And I'm assuming it's going to be Paddy Pimblett versus Jordan Levitt in the feature fight. Jordan Levitt, a 10-1 prospect in the UFC. He's a very, very good fighter. He's a young guy himself, I believe 26.
Jordan, he's okay.
He's on the come up in his own right. He's on a two.
Jordan is decent. Like, you can't be like, oh, Jordan's like a bad fighter by any means. He just, if he's not able to go out there and get the finish, it's going to be a really, really boring fight. And he's either going to take you down and just kind of hold you there a little bit with very minimal ground and pound and win a decision. If he can't get the finish, that's what's going to happen. But he can be good at sometimes if he's able to land that slam KO like he did in his UFC debut. If he can get some sort of submission like he's done plenty of times in his career. But is he like a prospect or something? I think that's what he said. Let's check.
I believe 26, 27 years of age. He's on the come up in his own right.
He's on the come up. I mean, sort of. You could kind of reconcile that, but there's no real way you can say he's like a prospect. He's on the come up. He's rising in this UFC lightweight division, because the guys that he's faced, Matt Weeman, a very aged veteran, fought on the Ultimate Fighter like however many years ago, and then he beat Trey Ogden, a fighter that I'm pretty positive came in on short notice, or at least was a UFC debuting fighter. Not really the best of the best in the UFC lightweight division, and MMA Guru is saying that he's on the come up. I don't really think so. I mean, he's lost to Claudio Puelles as well. I think that guy's on the come up for sure. Just submitted Clay Guida, but Jordan Levitt doesn't really seem like it, man. I feel like he's going to get destroyed in this fight with Paddy Pimblett. I'm going to be honest with you. He made this prediction is 17 minutes long. I'm going to be honest, it seems like the easiest prediction to make, because Levitt, if he cannot land the takedowns consistently and get the finish and things like that, he's not that good of a striker. Yeah, he's got some decent leg kicks to the thigh that we did see in his last fight. I mean, those are really all he has. A good jab, 1-2. No power behind it. You could literally just pressure the heck out of Levitt, defend the takedowns, and you're going to beat him. He's not that legit of a guy, and Paddy's going to destroy him. So let's see what MMA Guru has to say about him, but I'm going to be honest, Levitt's going to get absolutely whooped in this fight. Let's check.
Fight win streak right now. He's 3-1 within the UFC. His only loss is to Claudio Puelles, who's currently on a run right now.
Legit guy, for sure.
Just submitted Clay Guida easily within the first round with a knee bar submission, I believe, with a crazy transition. And Jordan Levitt had a very, very close competitive decision against him. So this is a step up for Paddy Pimblett. I know a lot of people out there.
Yeah, I would say it's a step up for Paddy because obviously Rodrigo Vargas, Godzilla Vargas, he's not a guy that can beat Paddy like anywhere. Paddy was better than Rodrigo Vargas everywhere that fight was. Striking, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, kickboxing. He was better than Rodrigo everywhere in that fight. Luigi Vendramini was a little bit closer. It was kind of on the other end of the spectrum from Jordan Levitt because Jordan Levitt can maybe pose a threat in terms of grappling, possibly, but Paddy's a good grappler in his own right. Luigi was on the opposite end of that spectrum where he was about as good of a striker as Paddy, but not as good of a wrestler and grappler, where Jordan Levitt is about as good of a grappler as Paddy Pimblett, but not as good of a striker as Paddy Pimblett. So the UFC is clearly giving these setup fights for Paddy Pimblett. I mean, first off, they put him against a guy that does not have the best jiu-jitsu, the best wrestling and things like that, with some decent striking that he can kind of set up, use the takedowns and things like that to set up the striking. So it wasn't as much of a setup fight, that first fight in the UFC, but he went through it with flying colors. Second fight, definitely a setup. He was better everywhere in that fight. Third fight is clearly a setup for Paddy to look amazing in the striking. They want to build Paddy Pimblett up as well as they can. They already know they've got the Cage Warriors footage of him using his grappling, his wrestling, and things like that. We just saw him submit Rodrigo Vargas. They really want to build up how good of a striker Paddy Pimblett is. I'm not saying he's that good of a striker, but going against a Jordan Levitt or things or someone like that in his nature, who's just strictly a grappler wrestler with pretty garbage striking, if I'm being quite honest, they're clearly trying to show, oh, everyone out there, Paddy's legit. He's got very, very good striking, where he's not actually that good of a striker. I mean, he knocked out Luigi Vendramini, but he got rocked in the first round early on in that fight, and then he just started throwing wild shots and caught Luigi. He's not that good of a striker, but they're going to make it seem as though he is with a win over Jordan Levitt here. So it really does seem like a setup fight. Let's see what MMA Guru
I'm going to be
say.
questioning this opponent because for some reason, although this is a very dangerous opponent for Paddy Pimblett, I do believe Pimblett is going to win this one. However, for some reason, people online are like, why is he not fighting Armand Sarukian next? Like, that makes it...
Dude, no, there are people out there saying that. I know for sure. There's some English people. There's some American guys that are just wearing the Paddy Pimblett hat and things like that. I know plenty of guys that do that and are hardcore on Paddy, like they are on like a Sean O'Malley or things like that. I have not heard one person say, okay, I want Paddy versus Armand Sarukian. I've heard some people say maybe a bigger step up than this, but I have not heard anyone say, oh, for sure, I would like Paddy Pimblett in the top 15 fighting a guy that's about to get into a main event with Mateusz Gamrot, one of the best fighters from Poland in the KSW. They want to see Armin versus Paddy Pimblett. I haven't seen anyone say that. Somehow MMA Guru has. But that's very interesting. I've never, ever heard that happen, where anyone in their right mind, I mean, anyone that is thinking that should obviously just go watch boxing, go watch soccer, go watch basketball, or something like that. If they're saying Paddy versus Armin would be a competitive fight, would be a good fight, come on, guys. Come on, dude. No one in their right mind should be thinking that. Jordan Levitt is I would say a step up. I mean, it's a fighter kind of like a Seren Bach that he did fight in Cage Warriors that he did lose to. But I would say it's a step up. But Armand Sarukian, dude, come on, bro. Dude, there's no chance.
Any sense whatsoever. He's 2-0 at lightweight against bottom feeder names in the lightweight division. Now he's going to take a step up against a guy who's 3-1 in the UFC. And if he wins that one, he'll take another step up in the lightweight division. And if he wins that one, he'll take another...
Yeah, they're clearly just trying to do the Sean O'Malley approach, where Sean O'Malley, after like his Eddie Wineland fight, he got that very, very good pump fake knockout win. We just stepped off, walk-off KO. After that knockout win, there's plenty of UFC guys, like prediction channels and things like that, saying, oh my god, Sean O'Malley should fight Dominic Cruz right then. That was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. There's no way they're going to put Sean O'Malley versus Dominic Cruz. Sean O'Malley didn't want it. Paddy Pimblett doesn't want it because they're not going to pay Sean O'Malley. And they're not going to pay Paddy... Sorry about that. They're not going to pay those guys double the amount, triple the amount of money for taking that big risk and that big step up in competition in that bantamweight division, in that lightweight division. So maybe the UFC does want that. Maybe the UFC wants Paddy to take an even bigger step up, fight an even bigger name in the lightweight division. Maybe they want Sean O'Malley to take that bigger step up a few years ago. But the reason neither guy is going to take that huge leap and go from a Rodrigo Vargas, a guy that's currently outside of the UFC, and fight in the top 15 or things like that is because they're not going to make that much more money than they would if they just fought a Jordan Levitt, which is a decent guy. He's got good grappling. He's 3-1 in the UFC. But Paddy, Sean O'Malley, these guys are not going to take the risk of going to fight a quote-unquote prospect, another veteran of the game that's legit top 15, top 25 in the UFC. They're not going to fight those guys unless they get a huge pay increase from their previous fights, which obviously with Paddy and with Sean O'Malley, they weren't gonna get that if they were to step up in competition. So they're gonna do like MMA Guru was saying, step them up slightly after every single fight. Just get slightly better opponents every now and then, and they're eventually like Sean O'Malley. Eventually, after he fought Raulian Paiva, finally he gets that top 15 fight. After maybe 2 or 3 more fights, they'll give Paddy Pimblett that top 15 fight, but they want to make sure Paddy is up for that challenge, because right now, you don't really know. I mean, again, like I said earlier, Arman Tsarukyan, you already know Paddy's going to get destroyed in that fight. If it ever happens, Arman's going to take him down, and he's going to smash him on the feet. He's going to smash him no matter what in that fight. So they need to build him up slowly, like MMA Guru was saying. I mean, it's not the most fun approach you like. I mean, some people, like he said earlier, would like to see him fight Arman Tsarukyan for whatever reason. He's going to lose those fights as of right now. You need to give him these bottom feeder guys, slowly get him through the division, and then eventually get him against those decent opponents in the UFC lightweight division, the ranked opponents. But again, he's not going to beat any of those ranked opponents anytime soon. So the UFC is doing exactly what they should.
A step up, and then he might fight a ranked opponent. That's typically how it works. Like, I see a lot of comments, even on Paddy Pimblett's social media page sometimes, like, when are you fighting Islam Makhachev? Like, I mean, maybe Paddy Pimblett really does bring in a very, very high percentage of casual fans to MMA, more than I did assume in the first place, but either way, this is a jump up for Paddy Pimblett. It's a 10-1 opponent who's very, very good on the ground, very, very good jiu-jitsu guy, but not very good on the feet. He's a tough guy. He can go all 3.
Again, it's a step up. It's a step up, but it's the perfect step up. It is the absolute perfect step up in terms of building Paddy Pimblett's popularity. He already got 2 comeback KO wins over Rodrigo Vargas and Luigi Vendramini. I'm predicting, my prediction right here, I know MMA Guru is going to give his. I'm predicting Paddy's going to get taken down in that first round. Levitt's going to get close to some sort of submission. He's going to be like, oh my god, Paddy's about to lose. He's going to get the fight back up on the feet, where Jordan Levitt has a significant disadvantage. And again, the UFC knows that, and he's going to knock out Jordan Levitt. He's going to almost TKO Jordan Levitt, submit him, whatever the case may be. It's a perfect opponent. It's perfect. It's a little bit of a step up, but it's that perfect step up. The UFC knows exactly what they're doing here.
He's got decent cardio, but in my opinion, where both of their jiu-jitsu games maybe could be seen as somewhat even, I feel as though Paddy Pimblett has all of the physical advantages over Jordan Levitt. Because, I don't know about you guys, but when I look at Jordan Levitt and I listen to Jordan Levitt speak, I don't get the idea of high testosterone. Okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to have...
I knew this was going to come in some way, because... Let's check the thumbnail out really one more time. Let's get out of the screen. If you look at the thumbnail for this video from MMA Guru, it's so funny, guys. He's got Jordan Levitt right here. I think I can zoom in, possibly. It's not letting me zoom in, but go to MMA Guru's channel. Look at the thumbnail to this one. It is so funny. You could already see what he's referencing to in this sentence right here.
Massive, wild assumption that Paddy Pimblett's going to be a little bit stronger, a little bit more explosive, because although a lot of people don't really like Paddy Pimblett right now, and I've seen the post about people just constant...
Someone in the comment section said, Levitt versus Laredo. Torque off. Okay.
hoping that he
I think Levitt
loses
would win.
because he would sell pay-per-views for the UFC if he did continue to win, and for some reason fans just don't want that whatsoever. Anyone who could potentially be a big name and sell pay-per-view points for the UFC must lose immediately. All of the fans hate them. I don't know why, but Paddy Pimblett is one of those guys who could be a superstar moving forward. He's taken a little bit of a jump up here, and I just think
It's literally the voice. It's not how good of a fighter he is or anything like that. It's literally his voice. I'm going to be honest with you. If I were to go in the UFC right now, get rocked in the first minute, a minute 30 seconds of my UFC debut, and come back, like wobbled a little bit, and get a knockout win, and I go on the mic, yeah, give me the title shot, or do whatever on the mic and things like that. If I were to do that with my voice right now, people would just be like, oh, he's asking for a title. He just got rocked in the first round. There's no reason he should be getting a step up in competition. That dude was no good. He literally just got rocked by a Luigi Vendramini in his UFC debut. That's what they would say if it was my voice in there. But since Paddy has that voice, the perfect Conor McGregor type of voice, not the same voice, obviously, but that voice that fans kind of get the appeal towards, for whatever reason. I don't know what the reason is. They just, whenever you're trying to imitate fighters, you're trying to imitate Islam Makhachev, Conor McGregor, Paddy Pimblett, which ones are you more likely to do an imitation for and be like laughing while you're doing it and smiling and things like that? Probably McGregor and Paddy Pimblett. You're not going to be doing Islam Makhachev's voice and things like that. So the more casual fans, they're going to hear Paddy Pimblett's voice, and they're going to be like, oh my god, that guy probably is really, really good. Sounds like Conor McGregor. If it was me with that same voice, I got taken down by Rodrigo Vargas, of all people, and then I came back and got a submission, they'd be like, oh my god, you got taken down by Rodrigo. Yeah, you got the win and things like that, but you're really not that good of a fighter. You just got taken down by him. You got rocked by Luigi Vendramini. He's a decent guy rising up the rank. He's okay. But since Paddy Pimblett has the Paddy Pimblett voice, it's perfect. It's perfect for the fans. It's perfect for the fans. I guarantee you, if Paddy Pimblett was from Jamaica, I don't know, Nigeria or something like that, the United States, and he was winning the way he is doing right now, there would be no buzz about him fighting Arm in the Saryukin. There'd be no buzz about him being a future prospect or being a prospect right now. There would be none of that. Like, absolutely none of it. It's sheerly the voice. It's sheerly the voice. I think, I'm honestly, I think that's kind of why MMA Guru himself gets a lot of views on his videos as well, is because when people are listening to his predictions, they hear the British voice, and for some reason, they kind of think that's a little bit more, you have a little bit more knowledge for some odd reason. I've seen some comments on MMA Guru's video. They're like, oh my god, you are so smart. Even if he gets the prediction wrong and things like that, I kind of think the British voice, the Ireland voice, the European voice is giving like YouTube channels and MMA fighters that push. I mean, I have not seen anyone that almost loses his debut, almost loses his second fight a little bit, gets taken down, and still have the buzz like Paddy Pimblett. Ian Gary's another guy. He got rocked in his debut against Jordan Williams, or I think I'm getting that right. And he's still getting his buzz because he's from Europe and things like that. It's crazy, but let's get into the video. He's very athletic, and people don't really give him credit for that. He's in very, very good shape when he shows up on fight night. And is he talking about Paddy Pimblett? I mean, he's athletic on the day of the fight. Obviously, he's not athletic 2 days after the fight, a week after the fight, 2 weeks after the fight. Anyone out there that has not seen the Paddy Pimblett or the Fatty Pimblett videos, go look it up. You're going to have a very, very fun time scrolling through the Fatty Pimblett videos and the Fatty Pimblett pictures. They're very interesting, but just go check that one out after this. I like to discredit him a little bit, but he's in very, very good shape. He's a physical specimen for the lightweight division. He's a very, very big lightweight as well compared to Jordan Levitt. He's going to be a little bit taller, obviously, and a little bit thicker and stronger and in better condition as well than Jordan Levitt, and I just believe that's going to be all the difference. Jordan Levitt has a very decent style where he works on top, and he's a little bit of a wet blanket, and he's got very, very good transitions. He's kind of like a more down the road version and more experienced version
than Chase Hooper. I feel like I
would agree, but Chase Hooper's been looking pretty good recently, and I would disagree a little bit in that Chase Hooper's striking is a lot better than Jordan Levitt's, in my opinion. Yeah, they both kind of... Actually, I think he has a good point there. I think he has a good point. They both have very good jiu-jitsu. If they get the takedown, they'll hold it on you. They just keep on going for submission after submission after submission, Chase Hooper and Jordan Levitt. And then their striking, although they have a little bit of boxing, they don't have that much power in their hands. But they do have very good leg kicks, body kicks, and things like that. So I actually like that comparison. Chase Hooper is kind of like kind of like Jordan Levitt. Jordan Levitt is the Chase Hooper of the lightweight division. I would actually agree with that.
Chase Hooper's very similar. He constantly transitions. He's not too explosive on the ground, but he kind of just worms his way into different positions on the ground. He'll take you back, then you'll roll, and then he'll take the side control, and he'll get into half guard and go for something. Then he'll roll again and try and find you back once more. Jordan Levitt's very, very similar, but in my opinion, Paddy Pimblett's going to have a huge advantage on the feet here against Jordan Levitt, because so far, from what I've seen from Jordan Levitt on the feet, it doesn't look too good whatsoever, in my opinion. Now, Paddy Pimblett is a guy who, under the right conditions, like let's say he would have taken on a guy like Mma Is, could have got chinned quite badly by a guy with lethal knockout power.
That's why you heard the news about a potential Azaitar versus Pimblett fight. The reason you're not seeing that fight, the reason we were all like, wait, what? Jordan Levitt is going to fight Paddy Pimblett? The reason the UFC did not book Mma Is, like MMA Guru just said, he probably would have got knocked out. Yeah, he maybe would have been able to work in a little bit of grappling and wrestling. As soon as that fight hits the feet, Mma Is hits like a truck. And with Paddy getting rocked that early on in his UFC career against Luigi Vendaramini, a decently powerful guy, if he were to fight Mma Is, I'm gonna be honest. The hype train. I'm not hyped on Paddy, but the people that are hyped on Paddy would have been significantly less hyped after he got knocked out cold by Mma Is. I'm not gonna say that would be my prediction, because there's a possibility Paddy can make a comeback, eat the shots, get a submission later on in the fight. Yeah, it's possible. It's a possibility for sure, but that's the reason they didn't do that. The chance of Mma Is knocking out Paddy Pimblett versus the chance of Jordan Levitt winning that fight, the chance of Ottman winning is way higher than Jordan Levitt. That, in my opinion, would have been a too big of a push for Paddy Pimblett, because he has not fought a guy with that amount of power as Mma Is. It would have been something new, completely different for Paddy Pimblett. Jordan Levitt is perfect. Again, Mma Is, we all know why they didn't do that fight. He would have got chinned. He would have got knocked out, like Guru just said. So it's perfect what they're doing.
The first round that can put your lights out straight away. That's a very bad matchup for Paddy Pimblett. So Jordan Levitt, a guy with little to no KO power whatsoever outside of a couple of slams that he's had against Matt Wyman in his career. He slammed him in the first round. Got a KO.
That was not KO power. He didn't do anything with his hands.
Centuries,
he didn't
smart
kick
investors
him
have
and
used
knock him out.
farmland
He's
to build wealth.
Literally just
Unfortunately,
I mean,
owning farmland
the back
has
of his
required
head
large
hit the
amounts of
ground,
capital,
and he got
knowledge of
TKO'd. That's such a fluke scenario. He of course got the TKO win, but 99 out of 100 times Jordan Levitt attempts that slam, no one is going unconscious. Matt Wyman just went unconscious that one time.
The feet in the first round. You don't really have to worry about his stand-up too much. He's probably going to shoot first on Paddy Pimblett, and that's actually where Paddy Pimblett does his best work. If you look at Paddy Pimblett's career, when people shoot on him, he likes to go for a hip toss. He does a lot of judo throws and stuff like that to end up on top. He likes to reverse people's momentum when they engage with him in the grappling, like you saw in his last fight against Rodrigo Vargas. Vargas pushed him against the cage. Paddy Pimblett used a bit of a judo hip toss, put him on the ground, ended up taking his back and choking him out in the first round, and I do believe this is going to be a first round KO on the feet for Paddy Pimblett. He'll approach this very similarly to the way he did against...
I would have to agree. I think there's going to be the grappling scenario early on in that fight for sure. There's always... In a Paddy Pimblett fight, there's always going to be something like that. There's going to be a little bit of adversity for Paddy Pimblett early on. So, yeah, maybe Jordan Levitt lands a takedown, gets a little bit of ground and pound, holds him there for a second, holding him with all of his might and strength. Paddy's going to get back up to the feet, Maybe he does the hip throw that MMA Guru was talking about. Takes him down. Fight gets back up on the feet. Jordan Levitt's back to the cage, and he just starts wailing like he did on Luigi Vendramini. I agree. First or second round knockout for Paddy.
It's Luigi Vendramini, who is also a very explosive guy that Pimblett didn't want to really risk going to the ground with or shooting too many bad takedowns and stuff like that, so he decided to stay at range on the feet and be a bit more tricky at range. He took a couple of big punches on the feet in that fight, but I just don't see Jordan Levitt, one, being able to get Paddy Pimblett to the ground or dominating him there if he does. And
yeah, you can see him getting like one takedown, but he's not going to hold him there. It's going to be one of those, like, Derek Lewis situations where sometimes when Derek Lewis gets taken down, he'll get up in, like, a second or two. He's just that strong, and he'll just get back up. Paddy's not going to get taken down and held there, especially by Jordan Levitt, especially when Paddy is a lot stronger, he's a lot bigger, he's just that type of guy. He'll just get right back up on the feet. Levitt is not going to win this fight. I agree with Guru. He's going to get the fight back up on the feet, probably knock him out.
Being any kind of threat on the feet whatsoever. So I think this is a good matchup to get Paddy Pimblett a win. It is a jump up the rankings, but I assume that Paddy Pimblett's going to be the winner here. He probably will be quite a sizable favorite as well. I reckon like 2-1, maybe close to...
The odds, last time I checked, weren't actually that big. They started at like minus 300, minus 350, somewhere around that range. And then, surprisingly, money actually went in on Jordan Levitt. I was surprised. I was a little bit surprised, but if we can find it, it's right here. Right now, at this moment in time, it's at minus 240. From minus 400, all the money came in on Jordan Levitt. So we have some guys that think Jordan Levitt can go out there and take this fight down, control it, and get the win. The past two Paddy Pimblett fights, he was a minus 600 favorite and a minus 145 favorite. I would have to agree slightly with the odds. I think he should be a little bit bigger of a favorite, but I was a little bit surprised when he was only at minus 240. Very interesting.
It's one because he's a fan favorite, so he's going to get a lot of bets anyway, even if people don't really know about the matchup too much.
Yeah.
They're just going to put their money on Paddy Pimblett. Same way certain Dagestanis, like, even though they should be a 3-1 favorite, people know that their fan base are going to bet all their money on them. And then, like, it will just spike up to 7-1 odds to make sure that people can't make too much of a profit. But either way, looking forward to this matchup. I've seen a lot of comments, though, man. People don't like this matchup. If Paddy Pimblett loses, it will be incredibly, and I mean incredibly, embarrassing for his career moving forward. Because Jordan Levitt, when he wins a fight, he begins to disgrace Western society inside the octagon afterwards. That's what I can describe it as. He gets real ratchet, as he would describe in his own words, in the middle of the octagon. And it would be a very embarrassing moment for Pimblett if he were to get choked out, not tap, go out cold on the canvas, and then when he wakes up, he just sees Jordan Levitt bussing it down in the center of the octagon. That would be...
Dude, imagine, though, just picture this in your mind. Paddy Pimblett getting taken down by Jordan Levitt. It's possible. It's MMA. It's always a possibility. Just picture this in your head. Jordan Levitt takes down Paddy Pimblett. Paddy trying to get to his base, get up, peel the hands off, get the takedown. And Jordan jumps on the back of Paddy Pimblett. Gets two hooks in, takes him down a little bit. And gets a rear naked on Paddy Pimblett. Submits him. Puts him out cold in the first round. Just imagine Jordan Levitt does that. And then he does the splits in the middle of the octagon. Starts to twerk in the middle of the octagon. Imagine, dude. Imagine what's going to happen to Jordan Levitt's popularity. And what is going to happen to Paddy Pimblett. Like, what are all the comments going to be on Paddy Pimblett at that point? Getting submitted by Jordan Levitt, and then him doing the splits, twerking in the middle of the octagon, doing whatever the heck Jordan Levitt's going to do after that. Just imagine, guys. That would be 100% worst case scenario, especially if Paddy goes to sleep. Oh my God. That would be horrible for the stock of Paddy Pimblett. Paddy Pimblett's stock would go from $200 to like 50 cents in the matter of minutes if that were to happen. Oh my God, I'm picturing it right now. It's not good. It is not good to see Paddy's face pushed into the mat. His mouth. He cannot breathe because the mat is in his face. And he also can't breathe because Jordan Levitt is busting down right on him. God dang. It's not going to be good, guys. It is not going to be good. Bro, someone in the someone in the comment section just said, bro, that is the best case, and are you kidding me? That is the 100% worst case scenario for Paddy Pimblett. The UFC, Dana White is going to be crying his eyes out if that were to happen. He would be crying his eyes out. We would see him leave the building and sell the UFC. Dana would be done. Dana would be done if that happened. Or, I don't know, maybe he somehow pushes Jordan Levitt to be the new star of the UFC lightweight. I don't know, guys. Just, I can't even imagine if that were to happen. Levitt submitting Paddy and then doing stuff in the middle of the octagon.
Very bad look for his career moving forward, and that really would be a derailment of hype.
Oh
because
my
I don't think
God,
anyone could unsee that moment moving forward. But I do think he's going to win this one. But we got a lot of comments here of people saying, like, luckily for him, they pulled him from that Ottoman Azaitar matchup.
Yeah, I would say that. But again, is it going to be really that lucky when Jordan Levitt starts twerking in the bit? Let's keep going.
With Ottoman, I wouldn't have thought him either can crusher. They call him a can crusher. Levitt's 3-1 in the UFC. He's on a 2-fight win streak within the UFC.
True. Rodrigo Vargas, you could sort of make the argument that he's like in that can range of the UFC lightweight division. Luigi Vendramini, I would not say is a can. He's a decent guy. He rocked Paddy in their fight. He's not a can by any means. He's a decent guy in his own right. He's still in the UFC. He's going to be climbing the rankings sometime soon. He's not a can. So I wouldn't say Paddy Pimblett is a can crusher by any means. Again, Jordan Levitt also is not a can either. He only lost to Claudio Puelles, probably a guy that on any given night could beat anyone in the lightweight division. He can land that knee bar anytime in that fight. So he's not a can crusher. I don't agree with that. But yeah, Mma Is right. He's not a can crusher.
The one fight he lost was a very close loss against a very good prospect who just easily dealt with Clay Guida. You know what I'm saying? This isn't a can. This is a dangerous test. And everyone's saying, can crusher this, can crusher that. And why is he not taking on this guy? Why is he not taking on that guy? Wow, he's really ducked.
Money. That's literally the reason. Anyone asking why he's not taking on Mma Is, a fight with Jordan Levitt, they're going to pay him, just for example, obviously they're not going to pay him this exact amount. For Jordan Levitt, they'll pay him, I don't know, $70,000. Just off the top of my head. For Mma Is, they'll pay him $75,000. What is more worth it? Potentially getting knocked out, bad, ruining your career, and your hype, your momentum in the UFC lightweight division, fighting Ottman, or fighting Jordan Levitt, who is clearly levels below you in terms of striking, good grappler, but clearly is a much easier fight. And you're not going to take brain damage like you would against Mma Is either. If their pay is anywhere near the same, $5,000, $10,000, in that sort of range of difference for Ottman versus Jordan Levitt, clearly Paddy's going to take Jordan Levitt. He does not care if people are going to say, why isn't he taking on Mma Is? You guys should know they're going to pay him roughly the same amount of money for the same fight, and Ottman and Jordan Levitt are around the same in terms of ranking-wise outside of the top 15. They're both kind of the same push-up in the rankings outside of the top 15, so it's clearly a smart move by Paddy. They're going to make the same amount of money either way. Why not take the easier guy? Why not? It's gonna be an easier fight for you. You're not going to take that much damage. So even if you win this fight, and even if you win the Mma Is fight, either way, when you're done with either fight, Jordan Levitt, once you're done with that fight, you'll most likely be able to get back inside the octagon to make even more money faster than you would be against Mma Is. Because Ottman, even if you win, you're going to be hit a lot. You're going to have possibly a concussion or something like that, some brain damage. Maybe the UFC says, oh, we'll have to give you a suspension of 2 months like they usually do once you take some damage. That's not going to happen with Jordan Levitt. After a Jordan Levitt win, you'll be back in business in a few weeks. Ottman, you don't know what that's going to be, so it's clearly a smart move, clearly.
Garam Kutiteledze and Ottoman Azaitar and all these other names. And I'm thinking to myself, hey, dude, these guys have matchups coming up soon. Do these guys not pay attention? Garam Kutiteledze has a matchup coming up soon. There's another guy that they wanted him to fight.
Yeah, Garam versus Damiris.
Why is he not fighting Ilia Topuria? Ilia Topuria versus Edson Barboza is in the works. He's a ranked featherweight, and he's looking for another ranked featherweight to move him up the featherweight division. You know what I mean? Garam Kutiteledze has a fight coming up soon against Damiris Magulov, a guy right outside the rankings. These guys are way further ahead in their careers than Paddy Pimblett is. So he's going to take on Jordan Levitt. It makes somewhat sense. It's a little bit of a slow step up, but if you're Paddy Pimblett, why not? Why not win again and then take another little bit of a step up against a next level up opponent? And then maybe we'll see about the Garam Kutiteledzes or the Ottoman Azaitars. And I want to mention this. Go to Ottoman Azaitar's Instagram, please. And we'll talk about Paddy Pimblett's weight after this as well, because that's a big thing. Let's talk about that first.
Yeah, Paddy's going to end his career at welterweight. I'm going to be honest. Paddy is not going to be a lightweight his whole career. He's going to eventually, he's going to go to welterweight. I'm going to say that right now.
He came out after his last fight, about a week after his last fight, and said that he's about 205 pounds, 202 pounds, something like that. And MMA Ireland and all of these like social media pages waited like however many months it's been since then. 2 months since the March card in London, I believe. I'm not really too sure when the London card was. I think it was in March. They waited like until now, or until a week ago, to post that information. Like he's that weight now. He's not that weight now. He was that weight after like a week or two of binge eating after his London card.
True.
On the last win that he had against Rodrigo Vargas. That's when he was that weight. He's been slowly trimming it down. It's not...
Yeah, you're not going to be that high weight that they're talking about, 205 pounds for Paddy Pimblett. That is 50 pounds more than the 155, 156 pound weight limit. You're not going to be 205 year-round. It's not going to happen. For me, I weigh in at 125 when I have to wrestle. As soon as I start eating after I weigh in and things like that, I end up around 145, 150 pounds. But I walk around at like 134. So it's just how much food you eat right after you weigh in and right after your fight is over and you just keep on eating and binge eating like MMA Guru was talking about. You're obviously going to hit that humongous peak you never really think you'll ever gain. Like, Patty's probably not thinking he's going to gain 50 pounds in a few days. But it can easily happen. It can easily happen. But, again, you're not going to stay that high. You're going to slowly go down 190, 185, 195 possibly. But that huge weight that Paddy Pimblett was, 205, that was all in the news. Everyone was like, oh, my God, Paddy's a light heavyweight. That was for like a few days. That was for like a day or 2 days. Right after Paddy just stuffed himself after that fight with Rodrigo Vargas, he just started eating whatever he wanted. And then I venture to say right now, he's probably 190, 195. He's not up there at 205 anymore. He probably lost a little bit of that by, and then maybe working out a little bit. He's not going to be 205 walking around. Anyone that is saying he's walking around 205 is obviously lying to you because he's not walking around 205. 205 is the peak. You're always going to have that huge moment where you're just the biggest you've ever been. After a few days after that, you're not going to be binge eating as much as you were right after. You're going to go down a little bit, go down, and then that's going to be where you walk around at, which is going to be 190, 195 for Paddy Pimblett, possibly even less than that. So, yeah, I mean, he's not walking around that. Oh, we got another ad. MMA Guru making some money. What is this? You push up? Okay. What?
He's never going to be a world champion with this kind of discipline. World champions stay in shape. They get right back into the gym.
I agree.
Hamzat Chimaev was working out like a day after the Gilbert Burns fight. Little bit of pizza to himself in his hotel room. And then right back on the kettlebells doing a workout in the gym the day or two after. Marvin Vettori, after losing to Israel Adesanya, that's a championship bout as well. Made a hell of a lot of money. Got right back in the gym a couple of days later and was already plotting his next move to take on a Paulo Costa or something along those lines. Different people have different discipline levels, and that's what takes them to the top of the MMA world and the UFC rankings in general. Paddy Pimblett, in my opinion, will not be a champion the way he's treating his career.
I agree. And anyone saying he will be, Charles Oliveira, the champion right now, is a better striker. He's got better jiu-jitsu. He's got better wrestling, better Muay Thai, better kickboxing, more power, more speed, more experience. Paddy's not going to be a champion. I'm going to say that right now, unless he makes some drastic improvements in terms of his diet, first and foremost, his boxing form, his speed, his power, his wrestling, because his wrestling isn't that legit. He's got the judo throws and things like that. He's got decent jiu-jitsu, but he needs to improve everything a lot in the next few years. Because at this point in time, I would give him a 0.1% chance. 0.1. Like 1 out of 1,000 chance that he becomes a champion. It's not going to happen. There's guys outside of the top 15 that I think Paddy loses to very handedly. Very handedly. I agree. 1,000%. This man's not going to be a champion anytime soon. And if he does, it'll probably be in the welterweight division because he's not going to make lightweight his whole career. He's moving to welterweight sometime in his career.
Yeah, in no way. But he's probably sitting at about 190 pounds.
That's what I said.
Okay. He's probably going to get down to 175 and then do a 20-pound cut.
Yeah.
Maybe like 185 is his current weight, and he's going to trim it down 10, 15 pounds of body fat. Because when you really look at Paddy Pimblett and his weight, his face is so horrifically fat.
Yeah.
Okay? But his
he probably holds 50 pounds of fat in his face. I'm going to be honest with you. Half of the weight that he's gaining after his fights goes straight to his face. I don't understand how that happens. He probably has some sort of genetics that just push everything he eats right to his face first and foremost, and then spread out to the rest of the body. I don't know what genetics he got that from. His mom, his dad, his grandpa, his grandma. I don't know. But most of the weight is going to his face, which is crazy.
He actually doesn't gain too much weight on himself. I think he's got a real weird way of gaining weight. It's a very unfortunate way of gaining weight, to be honest, because it goes straight to his face. Okay?
Guru.
He literally...
You are taking the... I have not watched this video before. Guru is taking the words right out of my mouth.
Gains all of his fat to his face immediately once he starts gaining weight, because his chest is still defined. It's not like he comes out with boobs all of a sudden and a massive big gut all of a sudden and stuff like that. He looks like if he
agree, disagree, sorta. I mean, he's not coming out with like a dad gut or anything like that, but you can clearly see like when he's ripped on fight night, he's got the abs, he's got the definition and everything like that. Days after, things like that. If you get a picture from him side view, it's pushed out a little bit. I'm not saying like a full-on dad gut or anything like that, but you can clearly see there's obviously something happening there.
Is about 10 pounds from his body. He's going to be back in fight shape body-wise relatively soon, but his face just gets ridiculously morbidly obese. But I do want to mention this. I reckon Pimblett will be in shape for this fight. I think there's no problem.
He's always in shape. Like, there's no fight Pimblett goes out there and his cardio looks bad. He'll just keep going and look for that finish. He's never not in shape. He always somehow finds a way to go from 190, 195 pounds, even 205 on the highest end, and he'll find a way to get down to 155 because most of that weight is held in places that are very weird and they don't really contribute that much. Like if he starts pulling off the fat from his stomach and his legs and arms and things like that and chest, and then he gets the face off, dude, he'll make weight. It's just, I don't know how he does it. I don't know what method he's doing to cut all the weight that he is cutting. But he'll always find a way. He'll always find a way. He'll always come in a fight night looking good, looking shredded, and he'll look pretty good in his fights. Except for getting rocked and almost submitted in most of them, but still.
There, I reckon he'll be back in fight shape in a couple of weeks' time, about 5 or 6 weeks out from the fight happening. I think we'll see a picture of him nice and back in shape, and everyone will be saying, how does he do this? How does he make these rapid weight losses and stuff like that? But either way, go on Ottoman Azaitar's Instagram right now, please.
Why?
This fat fucker weren't ready for July.
Ottman is the new Paddy? No way.
Pimlet gains his weight in his face. Ottoman Azaitar gains his weight on his fucking belly, dude.
Okay,
and
we need to see this.
And the comments of his own fans are even...
We need to see this, because we're all talking about how Paddy looks... We're talking about Fatty the Paddy, but we need to see Ottman Azaitar. Ottman Azaitar. Let's see, what is he looking like right now? I need to see this. If he's saying he's got a bigger gut than Paddy Pimblett right now, I need to see this. Oh, that's Abu Azaitar. Oh, that's not good. You could see it's pushed out a little bit. You could see like the belly fat dripping down a little bit. Big bulging belly, bro. Not combat ready. What happened? Oh, that's interesting. Wow. Wow, this is what he looks like on fight night. That's what he looked like a day before, or like right after the weigh-ins, at his peak. The best point. The best point right here. That's what he's looking like now. Oh. Eesh. Obviously, we don't know if that's just the lighting, if that's just the camera angle. I don't know. I need to see him without a shirt off, which sounds a little bit weird, but all of the pictures kind of look like that. You can see it pushed out a little bit. He doesn't look in tip-top shape right now. Obviously, no fighter, once they're not even training for a fight or anything, they don't have a fight schedule, they're not going to look tip-top shape. But, dude, MMA Guru is correct. I don't know, man. What has he been eating? Is he on the Paddy Pimblett diet or something? I don't know. I do not know. Interesting.
Saying it like big bulging belly, bro. Not combat ready. What happened? You know what I mean? That belly, though. Bro, you are not sharp anymore. Bro, you're only clicking photos and posting on Instagram. Look at your weight, man. People are like chuckling about it. Like, when is he... I don't know how Ottoman Azaitar thought he was going to get a Paddy Pimblett fight. I bet you Ottoman Azaitar is going to come out and say, about a week or two before the fight happens at UFC London between Paddy Pimblett and, what's his name? Jordan Levitt. He'll say, this guy ducking me. Dude, Ottoman Azaitar is not ready for a fight.
Yeah, maybe that's why. I've got through the theory of, you know, maybe Ottman has that chance of knocking out Paddy, and maybe the UFC is giving them the same amount of money for an easier fight with Levitt or a harder fight with Ottman. But I didn't even think about maybe Ottman Azaitar is just not ready. Like, I just looked at those pictures right there. I mean, yeah, he's got like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever the case may be, till the London card happens to cut off all that weight. But maybe, like MMA Guru was saying, what if Ottman is just strictly not ready to cut the weight? I don't know. Possible.
In shape at all. He does not have 8 weeks to get ready. He does not have 8... He will not be ready in 8 weeks' time. He has a big old belly on him right now. Not ready for a fight whatsoever. He's looking retired right now. He is not in shape. So he would need another, like, month or so to get in good shape, and then an 8-week camp afterwards. So I imagine that's why the Pimblett fight didn't happen with him, because he wasn't ready to go at UFC London. He'll probably end up fighting at UFC Paris later this year, I would imagine, because he's Moroccan.
September 3rd, I think.
He did a lot of growing up in Germany. It would make sense to get him on that Paris card in France. Maybe bring some German fans over for him, some Moroccan fans over for him as well. It's quite close geographically, those areas. I think France and Morocco are literally attached in some way geographically as well. So I reckon that's what will be next for Ottoman Azaitar. But, like, let's take it slow with Pimblett's career. I reckon he's going to beat Jordan Levitt on the feet.
Agree.
I think he's got underrated stand-up when he knows that that's his main aim in a fight. If he knows he wants to get a fight to the ground, he's often quite hesitant on the feet. But if you watch the Luigi Vendramini fight, outside of that one big punch that he ate against Luigi Vendramini, he actually held his own on the feet very well.
Yeah.
Head kicks here and there, front kicks to the body, low kicks as well.
But
couple of shots of his own
it didn't
landed.
seem like he could do that for 3 rounds. He doesn't like have notoriously bad cardio or anything. With the volume and the output he was putting out in that first shot, it was good. I mean, he was landing a few good shots onto Luigi. I don't know if he could sustain that for a long period of time with like a half of a Ziev or something like that.
He's got very good kicks at range, and I think that's what he's going to use to beat Jordan Levitt, and I can see a first-round KO happening here after some messy scrambles on the ground, Paddy Pimblett being a little bit too explosive, landing some big knees to the body, landing some big punches, and Jordan Levitt being just very, very sus on the feet, if you'll pardon the pun. I know he's very sus in general, and maybe those sus powers will come in handy against Paddy Pimblett, but he's just very, very slow on the feet. He has decently okay technique, but he's very slow, very open, sometimes uncoordinated.
Decent technique, but like no power behind that technique. He throws it all pretty good, leg kicks to the thigh, and all that good stuff. He's not really landing with anything of power. Nothing Levitt throws, you could go out there and say, yeah, he's probably going to knock him out with that. It's not going to happen.
A couple of good leg kicks land from Pimblett, a couple of good front kicks, a couple of those good question mark kicks that he throws. I think you'll have Jordan Levitt froze up a little bit, and I can see a first round jump knee uppercut against a cage from Paddy Pimblett.
Interesting.
I reckon he gets this one done. But it's a 10-1 opponent, so it's a good opponent. 3-1 in the UFC. On a win streak right now in the UFC. But if you look at his last performance against Trey Ogden, who was not really the best of guys coming in. I mean, he arguably shouldn't have even been signed to the UFC in the first place. It was a very close split decision between Trey Ogden and Jordan Levitt. So I'm assuming that Paddy Pimblett's looking at that and thinking to himself, I reckon I'll win this one pretty handily. He couldn't really do much to that guy on the ground. I doubt he does anything to me on the ground. I'm way too explosive. I'm way better on the feet. I reckon Pimblett gets this one done with athleticism. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.
Yep, like and subscribe to my video. I'm just kidding. Yeah, you can do whatever you want, but it wasn't a bad video by any means. I don't really watch like too many of Guru's videos. Sometimes I'll watch like a matchmaker video that he'll make. I watched a few of the like everyone's next opponent after UFC 270 whatever. I watched a few of those ones. I haven't watched one of these type of ones where he's making a prediction on just one fight, very in-depth, talking about Mma Is, talking about all these different things, the weight of Pimblett, the sus powers of Jordan Levitt. I haven't really done one of these type of things, but it was a good video. It was a pretty good video. You know, we'll give him a subscribe with notifications on, as you guys should do with myself as well. But yeah, not too bad. And I would actually agree with the prediction for MMA Guru here. I would agree Paddy Pimblett should go out there and get the TKO. I don't think Levitt has anything for him on the feet, wrestling-wise, grappling-wise. He's got a little bit there. But he's not going to control Pimblett. Pimblett by TKO in the first or second round. That's what I think happens in this fight. G.E. Espinosa or G. Espinosa 90. Where can I buy your merch, Bert? Go to the pinned comment of any one of my videos. It's at the bottom. So we'll go over to my channel real quick. Go over to literally any one of my videos. Let's go with the Hamza Chimaev Shavkat Rakhmonov prediction. Again, that prediction can definitely change. As usual, anyone who wants to become a member for all my UFC and MMA bets, make sure to go check that one out. But go to the pinned comment right here. I'm not going to say it's the best merch, because y'all can see it behind you. It's not that good. It's okay, you know. But it's right here. Bert MMA merch is here if you want one. And all the info is right here in my pinned comment. So that's how you would do it. Let's see. I beg you to watch that one. Watch Women's MMA one, Bert. Women's MMA one. He's got a Women's MMA one. Why not? Let's go on to watch an Women's MMA one really quick. But I'm gonna go to the bathroom really quick. Then we'll watch some Women's MMA, which is why is Women's? It's got to be that one, I would assume.
So I'm sitting in.
Oh, hello. All right, we're back. All right, 1 second. All right. So we got another one. We just did Sus Powers versus Paddy Pimblett, also known as Jordan Levitt versus Fatty the Batty Pimblett. So now we'll do why are women in the UFC so garbage and boring? Do we need to separate the UFC by gender? MMA rants. 16,000 views. Interesting. Let's check it out.
So I'm sitting in my shed, and I'm trying to think of ways that I can improve a company that I don't even own, like a true alpha would. Okay? What are we going to do about women's MMA? And over the past couple of weeks, I've been making these types of videos, and I've been talking about some problems that I'm finding with the UFC, and what I would do differently, and why are the UFC doing this, and I feel like this video is actually useless to make, in all honesty. And I tried to make this video before this one, and it wouldn't let me upload it, because let's just say I got a little bit, based in the video. A little bit too based for the likings of YouTube, and it got flagged, so I took it down, because I'm worried. So I'm going to try and be polite in this video, in the way that I talk about the topic I want to talk about, and also the way that I provide possible things that we could do to improve the problem that I'm talking about as well. Women's MMA is an abomination, and it's ruining the sport that I love. And I watch the UFC every weekend, and across the board, on the majority...
Most women's MMA fights, I would say, are kind of abomination. And there's a few out there that I'll be like, yeah, that was a little bit better than Derek Lewis versus Francis Ngannou. You'll get the occasional fight, occasional female MMA fight that is better than a male MMA fight. Not that often, though. It's not like Felice Harry Carolina Kowalkiewicz. I'm probably not going to watch that fight. I'm going to be honest with you. I would rather watch what's like the worst male fight on this card. I mean, every other fight on this card, every other male fight on this card is better than Felice Harry Carolina Kowalkiewicz. Like, why is that even on here? Why? I do not want to watch that fight by no means. Erin Blanchfield, I mean, it's a decent fight. She's a good prospect and things like that. But again, would you rather watch Erin Blanchfield, JJ Aldrich, or Jeff Molina, Zhalga Zhumagulov? I'd probably say Jeff Molina, Zhalga Zhumagulov. So let's see what MMA Guru has to say.
I reckon about 90% of the time, a women's MMA fight ruins a fight card. It just simply does. And no one mentions it. And whenever there's a bad fight, like, listen, I want to bring this up first of all so I can just point out some of the hypocrisy that makes me annoyed enough to make this video. I made a reaction to Esparza versus Namajunas 2 where Esparza beat Namajunas, and it was one of the worst fights of all time.
Oof.
And I was annoyed by that fight, not only because of just how boring it was and how much it ruined the card that it was on. Because remember, before that fight, we had Chandler versus Ferguson.
Ooh.
Amazing. Everyone goes crazy. Esparza, Namajunas 2. Shit break.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then we have Oliveira.
He's got a good point. Like, we're off to such a good card. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. The fights that were on that card. Then we got Ferguson, Chandler. Ferguson knocking down Chandler. Chandler taking him down. Ground and pounding him. There's blood. There's everything happening in that fight. There's a front kick. There's backflips. Oh my God. What an amazing fight. And then Esparza versus Namajunas. I see your point. That, like, the hype of that card, the momentum of that card was ruined. Was ruined. If Namajunas Esparza was even just a decent fight, it wouldn't have been ruined as much, but it was one of the worst fights of all time. And I would agree, it just, like, I walked out of the room in the fourth round. I was like, I'll just wait for the Oliveira fight versus Justin Gaethje. I would agree. It kind of ruined that card.
Gaethje, back to craziness.
Oh, yeah.
And the main reason I was so angry is because I knew that no one was really going to critique that fight. And Dana White in the post-fight press conference just didn't say anything about that fight whatsoever. Now, I remember a time where Tyron Woodley, honestly, compared to some of the fights that we've had now, was having pretty entertaining fights. But they weren't entertaining back then, of course.
I've never heard anyone
weren't
say
entertaining. That. He was throwing a couple of strikes around. He was having some big moments, like against Damian Maia. It was a bit of a snooze fest, let's be honest. He was defending takedowns over and over again, landing some decent shots here and there. He even dropped Maia in one moment, and Dana White tore him to shreds.
Yeah. Back
in the day when male fighters used to have boring MMA fights, everyone used to just tear them apart. Just like vultures.
Yeah, but, I mean, I'm going to be honest. I tore apart Mma Is and Esparza. I told my dad I have become a non-fan of Rose Namajunas after that fight. I was a fan of Rose Namajunas before that. I am no longer a fan of Namajunas. I was pissed because it was supposed to be a really good pay-per-view. We had some guys that this was their first UFC fight card. They were like, "Oh my god, this is crazy!" From the Chandler versus Ferguson fight, and then they're like, this is women's MMA." Eesh. It kind of really
big moment, like a less than entertaining title fight by a champion, and they just come in and start ripping him to pieces on the ground. You know what I mean? Like, and now I feel like we don't do that, and it's ruining every card because
we should do it to both of them. If the guys have an absolutely boring fight, I will rip them to shreds. I'm gonna say, dude, you guys did not do anything. You guys put on zero risk. You stood there and you looked at each other. Like Yoel Romero, Israel Adesanya. I will go out there and say, y'all suck. That fight was garbage. Just like I will with Namajunas and Esparza. Those fights both sucked.
I was watching the last UFC card, and this is kind of stemming from Esparza Namajunas too. And it's also stemming from Holly Holm versus
Ketlen
Vieira as well. Because that was okay towards the last 2 rounds.
Yeah. Still wasn't that good.
But they're just holding each other against the cage sometimes, and it's getting a bit too much for my liking.
And it was a boxer holding the jiu-jitsu girl against the cage. Why? I don't understand, man.
I can't take it anymore, okay? Because it's every single fight. And not only Holm versus Vieira on that card, there was another women's MMA fight on the main card of that fight night. Pollyanna Viana versus Tabitha Richie.
Oh, yeah. That was... I got comments on that one. That was not that good of a fight. I'm going to be honest. It was... I mean, there was moments in the fight that you're like, it's decent. And then you get Viana just sitting on her back, kind of just holding there, literally locking her guard closed and looking for stuff, even though she knows she cannot get any of those submissions on Tabitha Richie, however you say the name. Dude.
It's terrible. I'm not talking like it's like less than entertaining. It's just terrible. It's not even like Adesanya Romero was so boring, but there was some suspense, and there were some good strikes being landed by both.
Yeah, every now and then you get like a head kick attempt from Adesanya, you get a flying knee or something from Yoel Romero. With Richie, with Namajunas, with Esparza, with Viana, with Holm, and things like that. I mean, Holm had a little bit of action and things like that, but he's right. Richie versus Pollyanna, and then Esparza versus Namajunas, they didn't attempt anything. At least Adesanya and them were like throwing fight-ending shots, just potentially just throwing them out there, making them, every now and then. It was still a boring fight. But Richie just kind of held there. She laid a little bit of ground and pound and things like that. Namajunas didn't do anything. Esparza didn't do nothing. Viana didn't do anything. You could honestly venture to say even the Viana versus Richie fight was worse than Adesanya Romero. And that's saying a lot. Because Adesanya Romero was complete dog blank. I'm not allowed to say that on YouTube, but it wasn't that good.
It was terrible.
Terrible, yeah.
It was appalling. I hated every moment of it. However, there were some big moments.
Always going to be.
And it was okay because there was like a suspense in the air, like when is Romero finally gonna go? Adesanya is throwing some technical stuff, like landing some good looking leg kicks, so you can appreciate the small amount that's going on. But Pollyanna Viana versus Tabitha Richie, it's just garbage. It's not even, I'm not calling it boring. It's just like horrific, demonic, garbage. It's an abomination to the world of people. Like, I watch the UFC for entertainment. I'm from the UK. I stay up to the early hours of the morning. I've ruined my sleep schedule permanently, which is why this video will likely be posted at 4:30 a.m. UK time. My sleep schedule is ruined. Okay?
Bro, I feel so bad for the European fans. Any European fans watching this video, this live stream, dude, I feel, dude, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning is when the main card starts. How are you still a UFC fan? I don't understand. Mine starts at 11, and I get pissed when I hear it's at 11 and not like 9 or 10 o'clock or something like that. I get pissed when it starts at 11. Y'all have to watch pay-per-views at 4 or 5 in the morning. And like Guru said, all of that just to get Esparza versus Namajunas at 3 o'clock in the morning. You're like this. Your eyes are about to close, and you wake up, and you're like, all right, 2 more fights. We got Namajunas, Esparza fighting. Let's see what happens here. And then you see they're 20 feet away from each other, and Namajunas takes another step back for no reason. I feel, dude, European fans, I feel so bad for y'all.
Completely ruined.
Ruined.
There is no sleep schedule. It's ruined by the UFC. And I can't get it back. Okay? That's something that's been permanently taken away from me. And something needs to be done about these fights, because they're just garbage. And I think I need to at least make this one video, because I don't see no video about this from anyone. And I see other content creators like, you know, maybe it was the nerves or this, or maybe it was this, maybe it was that, maybe just the moment got to them. But it's like every single fight is the same thing. There's like a men's MMA fight, and it's women's MMA fights on next. Maybe I'll go get a drink, and then you come back, and of course it's not over in the first.
Yeah, my main source of hydration, my biggest source of hydration when I'm watching UFC, when I'm watching Bellator, is literally the only time I see low-level MMA, women's MMA fighters go out there. Even low-level men's MMA fighters, they're going to put on a show. They're going to go out there, look for the finish and things like that. I've seen 2 debuting fighters put on a better show than title holders, top 5, top 10 fighters in the women's divisions. So I get so much hydration during the female MMA fights because I get up to get water countless times. I sit there, I'm in awe. I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy. When the guys are fighting, and I'm like, all right, water break. Go get a snack. I'm gonna go fix myself something while the girl fights are on. I don't do that always. There's the exception of a good fight. Like, I'm not gonna go do that when Zhang Weili, Joanna Jędrzejczyk go out there. I'm not gonna do that when like a Jessica Andrade fight is happening, a Valentina Shevchenko fight is happening, and a Amanda Nunes fight is happening. I'm not going to go and do that when those ones are happening. There's obviously the exception of the rule in which you're going to get a good fight every now and then. But outside of the top 15 female MMA fighters, 90, 80, 95% of the time, you're going to get like a decision. You're going to get a decision. And if you do get a finish, it's probably going to be a submission. And it's going to be like not a technical submission, just they got the fight to the ground, and one girl literally just gave up her back, and we got a submission.
Round, they're never over in the fucking first round. Only good men's fights are over in the first round. Why would they ever be finished? You know what I mean? Let's just watch it for 15 minutes. Better yet, let's put it in a main event.
That's the worst thing. That's the worst thing. With the guy fights, you're more likely to see like a lot of action in like a minute or two if there's like a finish or something like that. But with the girls, if you get a bad fight, more likely than not, you're gonna get 15 minutes of that bad fight. Because the girls that have good fights, like I said, Juliana Pena, Amanda Nunes, Jessica Andrade, all like the girls that have legitimately good fights, Joanna Jacek, Weili Zhang, those girls usually get the finish. So the one fight for the women that is actually like a good fight, we don't get to see that much of it. There's of course we got Zhang Weili, Joanna Jacek, but usually when there's a good women's MMA fight, we get a finish. When there's a bad women's MMA fight, we get 15 minutes and we see a decision. So you can't really even escape it. Even when you finally get that good women's MMA fight, you're going to be stuck maybe a few hours later with a bad women's MMA fight that lasts 3-4 times longer than that good women's MMA fight. Oy.
For 25 minutes. I've watched many Holly Holm fights. I don't understand how a company that wants to be successful in the industry that it's in can watch a Holly Holm fight and go, we need 5 rounds of this. You know, I saw...
Yeah, I would probably maybe do like Holly Holm, Ketlin Viana on the main card of a pay-per-view, but make it 3 rounds or make it 5 rounds, whatever the case may be, but don't make it the main event. Like I think for the women's fights, usually I would say to put them on like a main card of a pay-per-view. That's what I would say most likely. Make it the second fight on a main card of a pay-per-view that only has like those 3 really top tier guys, and then have that main event level women's fight that could be like a 5 round on a UFC Fight Night main event. But I would agree. I'd rather see them do and put those type of fights like Holm versus Viana. I'd rather just see them put it on a pay-per-view. And if you look at that home card, if we go to it, if you look at that Holm versus Viana UFC Fight Night, if I can find it, I don't know how long ago it was. It was Holm versus Viana. It was like 2 weeks ago. But if you go on here, Michel Pereira, Santiago Ponzinibbio was right there. Was right there. You could have put Giles Almeida, Parker Porter on this main card. Could have put that fight, Giles Almeida, Parker Porter, as the co-main event of this fight card. Put Santiago Ponzinibbio, Michel Pereira as the main event of the fight card. Kept Chidi where he is, kept Tabitha, Junior Park, everyone else where they were. That's perfectly fine. But put Holm Viana in a 3-round fight on a main card pay-per-view, or just on a pay-per-view fight card. Not a main event, because, again, for the UFC, like Guru was saying, how are you going to make the UFC more money? Clearly, the way you make more money is make the very exciting fights. Put that in the main event, make it 5 rounds. You had one of those. You had it. You guys had it. Michel Pereira, Ponzinibbio was fight of the night. It was fight of the night. And still was the co-main event only 3 rounds. Ponzinibbio, if it was 5 rounds, Ponzinibbio could have made a comeback. We would have seen how good they were in the early rounds, and we would have seen a crazy 4th and 5th round. They're all tired. We could see some crazy welterweight action with Michel and Ponzinibbio. That would be a banger. 5 rounds of Michel and Ponzinibbio. I would pay money to see that. There's no way I'm paying money to see Holm versus Viana in a 5-round main event. It's just not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen, guys. So I would agree. I would say Viana Holm, just put it on the main card of a pay-per-view. Put it on UFC 275 or something. Even put it as the main prelim. I don't care. But if you have this scenario where you have a Ponzinibbio Michel Pereira right there, guaranteed fight of the night, and is right there in the co-main event, make it the main event. Make it the main event. Come on. Come on.
Kel Pennington and Irene Aldana performance was pretty good, but when there's a pretty good performance, it's because there's usually like a massive difference in skill between the fighters.
Yeah.
Like,
when you see a good like women's MMA fight, there's usually it's either like they both have really good finishing ability, or one girl is just way better than the other girl. That's the only real way you're gonna get a good women's MMA fight is if two girls, they're fighting each other, they both have a good way of finishing the fight, or one girl is just levels, like Paddy Pimblett says, levels above the other fighter.
that's what it normally is. Like, Irene Aldana is showing no ability to do anything whatsoever against Holly Holm but walk forward and take punishment. So Holly Holm therefore looks good.
Yeah.
And even if there is a fun fight, like Nunes versus Pena, the commentary's going wild, everyone's going crazy, all of the people that make content on the fight and react to the fight afterwards are going absolutely mental about what's going on. Oh my, and did you see that co-main event of Nunes Pena 2? That was historic. What an upset. Absolutely wild back and forth. And then I'm thinking to myself, like, that was bullshit. There's no technique. Like, and I'm just...
That is also an argument. When you do have that fight, where it's really good, and it's like a women's MMA fight, it's kind of very non-technical. Even Zhang Wei Li versus Joanna Jacek, it was technical for a little bit, but then they just started throwing a little bit. They just started randomly throwing different shots, like Juliana Pena did. When there's a good fight for women, again, they both have to be really good finishers. They both have to have, not that good of cardio, and just make it as non-technical as possible. Or one girl's got to be way better than the other. Those are the ways you make a good women's MMA fight.
I see someone, and I look at their storyline, and I see I've been training since I was a child for this, and you're 30. And that means you've been doing it for 15 years at least, let's say. And you're just swinging like a... Oh, let's be careful on the words I use. You're just swinging like someone who's, Some people are high on weed. Some people are high on life. Some people are high on chromosomes. And sometimes these women's fighters are swinging like those people. Okay?
Guru does
Head
not
down,
hold back.
eyes closed, wailing at each other. And Nunes is the female goat of the sport. And it's just... She was the female goat of the sport, at least. Maybe still is, just credentials-wise. But, why aren't we doing anything about them? And there are some good women's MMA fighters. Like, Rose Namajunas typically does have reasonably entertaining bouts. Okay?
Typically.
Marina Rodriguez has some fun scraps. In all honesty, it's the women's strawweight division. They have good scraps. And I know people are going to say, well, what about Shevchenko? I'm done giving Shevchenko credit, man. Shevchenko gets a finish. But before that finish, it's just
not the most entertaining fight.
Tapping inside leg kicks at range.
And the reason it's not that entertaining is because we already know what's going to happen. We know Valentina is going to destroy Lauren Murphy. I mean, that was the one fight I can go out there and say, the only way Valentina loses is if she trips, hurts her ankle, and gets TKO'd somehow like that. The reason that fight was not really that good is because, literally, Lauren Murphy posed no threat to Valentina Shevchenko. Valentina didn't really need to do much to win that fight. So she didn't really have to put in the risk and put in all that type of stuff. So it wasn't really that good of a fight up until the finish. Up until the finish, of course.
And then you go to, like, certain fight cards. Like, people talk about how, well, you know, we just had Amanda Ribas, Caitlin Chookagian, fight of the night. And it was a great fight. And sometimes there are...
It was a good fight. It was a good fight. But again, there was a little bit of lack of technique every now and then. Sometimes they just start throwing weird shots. But that is the exception. For every Caitlin Chookagian, Amanda Ribas, for every Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Zhang Weili fight, there's going to be like a Hannah Goldie versus Emily Whitmire. Some garbage fight. There's going to be so many of those for when you see that really, decent fight, the decent women's MMA fight, you get really hyped on it. You're like, oh my God, they looked really good. When in reality, you're only thinking that they look really good because your prior experience with women's MMA fights is that they don't typically have the best fights. So when you finally do get that good fight, your mind blows that out of proportion a little bit.
These amazing fights. Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Zhang Weili too. An amazing matchup. You also had, God, what was their names? Yi Yeon Kim versus Priscilla Capoeira. An amazing fight. Honestly,
that was really good.
Absolutely amazing fight. A robbery, but an amazing fight. And then Ribas and Chookagian fight each other. And they do the bare minimum of entertainments for an MMA fight. Like, that's an average male fight. And they got fight of the night over Davy Grant versus Lewis Smolka.
That is true. It was a good fight. Not a great fight. Davy Grant's fight obviously was a good fight as well. Not a great fight. But if you had to look at them side by side, Davy Grant fight and then the Caitlin Chookagian fight, I would venture to say, if you were to like take a deep look at both of them, the Davy Grant fight was way better. The Davy Grant fight was crazy. He landed like 50-5 in significant strikes in the first round. He got rocked in the third round. He came back, like almost lost that second round against Louis Smolka. I mean, there was adversity. There was dominating first round, making the comeback, almost getting the finish, and then boom, a finish in the third round. That was a crazy fight. That was a banger. I was like going crazy for that fight. You know, I was like, oh, for the Chookagian versus Ribas fight as well. Still, you probably venture to say that Davy Grant fight deserved fight of the night more than Chookagian Ribas did. And you're right, they probably just did it because
Smolka had years off his life. Okay? They're doing real damage to each other.
Oh, yeah. The shots they were landing on each other were, oh my gosh, crazy.
You can see the damage on them. They're cracking ribs. You know what I'm saying? They're breaking their feet on each other's shins. They're breaking each other's jaws, breaking each other's noses on a regular basis. And for me to see Amanda Ribas and Caitlin Chookagian, two fighters who already get paid a ridiculous amount of money for what they actually bring to the company, get a fight of the night bonus over Davy Grant and Lewis Smolka, who don't get paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they go home with no bonus.
I want to see what the pay difference was. Ribas. Actually, what was the card? That was the Home versus Viana pay. Let me see. I want to see who got more money. Who got more money? I mean, even like Michel Pereira. Was that even the same card? Am I on the wrong one? What was the one before that? Was it on that one? Davy Grant. Was he the week before that? He was on... Oh, he was on Blachowicz versus Rakic. I'm getting that wrong. Okay, let's check. Blachowicz versus Rakic. Alright. Let's see. Alright. Does it not even show the pay on here? Really? Jan Blachowicz earned $46,000. Dude, where is it showing how much they actually made on the card? Blachowicz earns $100,000. Where does it show what they're actually making, though? I'm trying to figure this out. Am I going past it or something? I gotta find this out. I want to see what Amanda Hebus made in that fight. What Caitlin Chukagian made in that fight. Compared to this, I don't think they're gonna show it, but I'm assuming Hebus with the bonus probably made more, and Caitlin Chukagian probably made more than Davy Grant. Whereas Davy Grant should have got that $50,000 bonus. Louis Smolka should have got that 50 G's. I mean, he came back. He made it a fight in that second round. Possibly could have been a draw if he was able to survive that third and win it.
Smolka went home after that gutsy performance against Davy Grant.
Maybe they got the backroom bonuses. You never know. Fighter pay. They should just post them right after the fight is over, I think.
Get him absolutely smashed up in round 1, dropped, 10-8'd on the feet as well. He was getting whooped in round 1, came back in round 2, started whooping Davy Grant. They're going back and forth. It's a wild fight. They're both taking huge shots. Smolka's showing an amazing chin. Round 3, gets his leg completely deadened. His whole fucking calf is destroyed, and now he's on the ground, and he gets put out cold in the third in a comeback victory for Davy Grant after round 2 looked like it was going to change the momentum of the fight. And then he goes home with his show money and his Venom bonus, because Amanda Ribas and Caitlin Chukagian decided not to feint at range, out of striking range of each other 3 straight rounds. Because they decided to have a reasonably okay fight for women's MMA fighters. Smolka goes home with basically nothing.
I would agree. 75,000 probably for Chukagian, and then plus the bonus. Or that's already added the bonus. I don't know. But I'm assuming Chukagian probably made more than Davy Grant on that one. Even though Davy Grant probably had a much better fight, much more exciting fight.
Get his fight of the night bonus. It's just annoying to me on a regular basis. Pollyanna, Viana, Tabitha, Richie, you have been in this game for a decade. You've been training to do this for a living for a decade. Why are you laying on your back?
That's
like
true.
You don't even care about the...
You see that with both sides as well. Like you'll see some male MMA fighters, they know that they could like get up and stuff like that. They're just so focused on getting a triangle, getting an armbar, that they just sit there. They just sit there the entire fight. There's exceptions. Some guys actually get that submission, like Charles Oliveira, like a Paul Craig or someone like that. But most UFC and male and female guys, they like if they're grapplers and that's their like only way they've won fights is like by armbar and triangle, you're gonna see a boring fight. Like nobody was expecting Pollyanna, Viana, Tabitha to be a good fight because you know the styles of both girls. Tabitha, take down, hold you there. Pollyanna, get taken down, stay there, look for a submission.
Why are you laying on your back? Get up! Get up. And then Tabitha Richie's on her feet and she's not engaging on the ground and she's just kicking at the legs. And that's the fight. That's the whole fight. Viana has some moments on the feet here and there. They go to the ground and it's just nothing. That's that. Oh well. Let's move on to the next card that's going to be ruined by him. And I'm looking at future cards coming up and I'm just... There are certain women's fighters that are good and I look forward to them fighting. And that's how...
Yeah, let's look at what is an upcoming women's MMA fight I am legitimately excited for. Legitimately. Like, I look forward to it. Pollyanna Botello, Karina Silva. Not really looking forward to that. Herrig, Carolina Kowalkiewicz. Not really looking forward to that. I'm more looking forward, in terms of the guys, to Igor Evloev, Rozenstruik Volkov, Trezano Lucas Almeida, Menifio Mazzaro, Selecki Da Silva, Jackson Argueta, Adeshev Osborne, Denise Stolz. I can't think of any men fight on here I am less looking forward to than these two right here. I'm more looking forward to every other MMA fight for the guys than I am to these two female MMA fights. Now, Aaron Blanchfield, JJ Aldrich, maybe you can say, like, I'm more looking forward to that fight than... Who can I say? It's tough. Than... I don't know if I can think of anyone there either. I don't know. I can't even think of anyone there that I'm more looking forward to watching Aaron Blanchfield or over any of these guy fights. Dude, I can't think of anyone. I'm looking forward to watching
for the female
fighters.
They do good. They're exciting. They build their popularity through their fighting skill.
Thank you, UFC celebrities and classics.
Because you know what you're going to get when you watch them fight. And then I see certain women on the main cards over certain... Like, there'll be a men's flyweight bouts are always fun. Sometimes they're a bit lackluster, but usually they're really fun bouts across the board. Okay, there are probably some boring fights that they've had, but typically men's flyweights bouts are amazing across the board. And for me to see... And sometimes I'm seeing, like, Alejandro Pantoja fighting for a title shot on the prelims against someone, and then like 2 unranked women's flyweights on the main card.
Yeah,
it's just a bit pathetic.
So I feel like, what is up with that for the UFC flyweight division for the guys? That has gotta suck to have Pantoja, a guy that who did he lose to? Davis and Figueiredo. We got a draw or something. Lost to Askarov. He's in the midst of the top 5. Always has good fights. Had a banger with Brandon Royval. Just having really exciting fights. And then you have, like, for an example, like Felice Herrick above him, Angela Hill above him, or someone like that. Dude, I feel like, come on, flyweights, guys. Y'all put on such amazing fights. So much better than the average female fight. And you're still on the prelims.
And it really annoys me that nothing's ever going to be done about it. And that's just what we got to deal with. Like, I want to improve the company. If I was in charge of a company, I would do everything I possibly could to improve it for the people that are watching. That's the point, right? Why is that not the point? Why is it not the point? Why do we have to do this? Even though it affects our viewership and ruins every fucking card across the board all the time. 1 out of 100 times it's an amazing fun fight, but 99 out of 100 times it's pretty fucking boring and no one cares. Why are we, like, forcing this? I know it's a good look for the company and all that, but I don't care about a good look, man. I just want to watch fight cards that I'm staying up until 5:30 a.m. for. I want them to be good. I don't want home... Like, I just knew it was going to be terrible. Holly Holm...
It wasn't terrible. The first few rounds were pretty bad, but it wasn't terrible. Obviously, Nabiutis Esparza was terrible. Holm, it was... It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It wasn't really good, really bad. It was a weird fight. It wasn't terrible, though. There were some shots by both girls that wobbled each other. There was the rear naked. I mean, there's moments. There's always going to be moments. But there's moments in the fight where you can say it was exciting.
I just know what to expect nowadays when we're going into these types of fight cards. Like, when it's coming up as the main event, like, I watched Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Mikael Pereira in the co-main event, and I'm like, yes, amazing. Oh, now we've got to sit through this fucking shit for 25 minutes. That's my emotion when I'm watching these fight cards sometimes. Oh my god, Ponzinibbio Pereira's next. Ponzinibbio Pereira's next. This is going to be amazing. Ponzinibbio versus Pereira. I'm so excited.
Like I said earlier, make Michel Pereira, Santiago Ponzinibbio the main event. One of them is ranked. One of them is unranked. I don't care. That is guaranteed fireworks for 5 rounds. It's going to be a banger of a fight. You saw what they were doing at the end of just round 3, round 4, round 5. Imagine what's going to happen there. Imagine. So many more people are going to be viewing that UFC fight card if Michel Pereira Ponzinibbio was 5 rounds.
About this chat. I'm talking to my live chat at the time when I'm doing a fight companion. Guys, are you really excited about this? This is going to be amazing.
It doesn't... Yeah, Pantoja has 25,000 followers. He's still far away from a title shot or even main card. It doesn't matter... Dude, it does not matter how many followers you have. If you were an exciting fighter, you're beating guys in the top 10 of your division. You're doing it in very, very fun fashion. They're all very, very good fights. You're only losing very close fights to Davis and Figueiredo, Askarov, and things like that. You're pretty close to a title shot.
Mikael Pereira, Santiago Ponzinibbio. You know it will be entertainment.
For sure.
Why is it the co-main event?
That's what I said.
Why is it the co-main event? You know it's going to be crazy. Imagine 2 more rounds of that. That would have been crazy. Ponzinibbio probably would have won. But it would have been crazy.
Are you watching my live stream? You are taking the words out of my mouth.
Bonkers. An amazing fight for 5 rounds. An all-time classic war. With probably a great finish at the end as well. Likely from Ponzinibbio, the way that fight was going. And I'm done with Ponzinibbio Pereira.
I would agree. The judges, like most of the judges, had Michel winning round 1 and round 2. One of them had Ponzinibbio winning round 2. That's why it was a split decision. But if it was 5 rounds, Michel would have lost the fight. Michel would have lost. 4th round, Ponzinibbio would have won. 5th round, Ponzinibbio would have won. Maybe we see a finish from Ponzinibbio in one of those rounds. It would have been way better to see that. And even if Michel loses his hype and things like that, he doesn't lose his hype in my opinion. How amazing of a fight that was. Ponzinibbio and Michel, whoever would have lost that fight, 5 rounds, 3 rounds, 2 rounds, 1 round, whatever the case may be, win or lose, your hype increases. Win or lose, your stock increases. Win or lose, people still want to watch your fights. People even more likely to want to watch your fight. So it seemed like a no-brainer to make Michel versus Ponzinibbio 5 rounds. Even though one of them is unranked and one of them is like number 14 in the welterweight division, still really wanted to see that. 2 extra rounds. Ponzinibbio would have won if it was those 2 extra rounds. I don't care. Ruin the momentum of Michel Pereira. I'm still hyped on Michel. I still want to watch every one of Michel fights because he is putting on bangers left and right. Ponzinibbio is putting on bangers left and right. Holly Holm, killing Viana, not necessarily.
And then it's Holly Holm just pushing against a cage. And here's another part of the game that I don't like. In men's MMA, when a fighter's pushing someone against a cage and doing nothing to them, but little tapping stuff, the ref just jumps in and separates it. He just does. Like Blagoy Ivanov versus Marcos Rodrigo de Lima. There's moments where they're against a cage, and Blagoy's just got there after 10 seconds. You gotta work here. The referee's fucking head pops into screen.
That I would agree with. I mean, it doesn't take long for you to get the takedown, get on top a little bit, kind of just hold there, land a few taps and things like that. And then the ref's already talking about work. And you see, like, girl fights that have even... I don't know what's up with Guru's picture right now. But you see some girl fights with even less punches, even less action. And the ref says nothing. He's not even saying, let's work. Doesn't say anything. Holly Holm didn't really do anything in the clinch. She kind of just held there, laying a few knees and things like that. So was Blagoy. But like you said, the ref was asking, let's get some work. They were not asking anything from Holly Holm. So there's kind of like that double standard where if they are in the same scenario, in the same position, on the clinch, on the ground, and they're doing the same amount of work, more likely than not, they're going to ask, let's work to the guy than they are to the girl on that one. So that's kind of why every now and then you'll get more bad girl fights than bad guy fights. Because when they're not working, the ref doesn't really do much of anything. He's just kind of like, all right, keep going.
Work here, dude. You got to do work. Get to work or I'll separate it. There's no separation in women's MMA. Or that Holly Holm Vieira fight would have been separated 100%. That rule just doesn't apply. Macy Chasson versus Norma Jamont. Remember that one?
Oh.
Macy Chasson versus Norma Jamont. Her whole thing was to just hold her against a cage.
I believe Norma Jamont won that fight, but literally, like Guru is saying right now, Macy literally just held her. Did nothing. Did no damage. And won the fight off of that. If you are giving people the win for holding there, landing a few little tip-tap knees to the body and things like that, and you are giving them the win, you are first off incentivizing them to do that again in their next fight. And the ref is also incentivizing it by not telling them to work. Tell them to work. That'll solve a little bit. Not going to solve all of it, but tell the girls to work a little bit more. If they're in a boring situation and things like that, neither girl's really landing anything in the clinch or on the ground, tell them to work. Even if you're not going to bring them back on the feet, things like that, tell them to work. I will have no problem if one girl's holding on the cage, doing absolutely nothing. Tell her to work. Break them off. I don't care. That'll be better. It'll be a better viewing experience for me, in my opinion. What is this comment? All right. Something HD fun. We're going to hide user on this channel. I don't know what that is. But, again, my point has been made.
Had Usman's back, and it was separated. Damian Maia came in on short notice to fight Usman in place of Santiago Ponzinibbio way back in the day.
That was a long time ago.
He's on Usman's back. He's got one hook in. He's punching Usman in the side to try and open up a position to where he can get another hook in on Usman's back, because once Maia gets your back, it's very difficult to survive, and Usman's been choked out that way before in his career. It's his only loss. And the referee just jumps in and separates. And we see this so much in men's MMA, but in women's MMA, it's just like, no, let them do it. Let's just get this over with. Like, no, separate. Let's have a fight here. And I just know what to expect whenever they're fighting nowadays. And it's always garbage. It's always terrible. They can't fight. They don't know what they're doing out there half the time. It's just appalling. It's not good in any way. Like, it's not even that, it's not as fun, but at least it's technical. Some women's fights are technical. Some of them are. Shevchenko has good technique.
For sure.
Ioanni and Jacek has good technique.
For sure.
Zhang Weili has good technique. Nana Yunus has good technique.
For sure.
Some of them actually do. And I'm watching the female goat Amanda Nunes literally swing like she has no idea what she's doing. I need to figure out, before I just continue to shit on them, I need to figure out how to fix it. It's never going to be fixed. This is something we have to deal with forever. That's our punishment, I guess, for trying to enjoy a sport. Not allowed these days, I guess. So we're going to have to fix something about it. It's just so annoying.
If I was Maya in that moment,
I
would smack the ref too.
My idea. Separate the sport. Let them have their league. Let the males have their league. Like every other major sport in the world. And I know that's the main selling point of the UFC, and that's something that they pride themselves on. You know what I'm saying? That's something that they really pride themselves on. We don't separate, they're all fighting under the same league, you've got the champions here and the champions there from both genders, and it's amazing, it's a utopia.
Yeah, but every other sports league has it separated. Female soccer, they do it in different leagues. Baseball, I have never heard of a female baseball league, but I'm assuming it's some softball league with WMLB or something like that. The WNBA. They're a part of the same organization as they have the NBA after it. This will be the same. WUFC. Why not?
Boring fights and entertaining fights side by side. We don't put away the boring, terrible quality fights. We keep them in the card on pay-per-views to ruin cards. I know Moreno Cara France is going to deliver way better than Nunes Pena 2. But it's still the main event over Cara France Moreno. Because it has to be, I guess. And that's just...
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Moreno Cara France, 5 rounds of that fight is going to be amazing. It's going to be a crazy, crazy fight. Whereas Nunes Pena is still going to be a good fight. It'll be a good fight. But not as good as Cara France and Brandon Moreno, and they're kind of for the same stakes. Both ways you're fighting for the belt. Interim or regular belt. Either way, it would be a lot funner for the fans to see Moreno and Cara France in the main event. The casual fans are more likely to buy that pay-per-view. So I don't know.
It is.
But again, yeah, Pena probably has a lot more notoriety. Amanda Nunes probably has a lot more notoriety. She's more well-known than Moreno and Cara France, so maybe that's why because they could possibly gain in more traction and more pay-per-views and things like that. I don't know. That's kind of the exception. That one, you could kind of get away with putting Nunes and Payne in the main event there. But if Moreno was still champion right now, maybe he went out there and he beat Davison in the last fight. Now he's fighting Kai Kara France in this one. Maybe then I would say put them in the main event instead. But it's an interim belt, so this one I would have to side with putting Payne in the main event.
But that's just how it is, I guess, and that's just something we have to deal with. It's sad. I wish there was some kind of separation. I know what you're going to say in the comments, but Guru, if we separated them and gave them their own league, then it would fizzle out into nothingness, and they wouldn't make any money, and eventually the whole sport for them would be cancelled.
Oh my god. You can see the smirk right here. I'm going to go back like 5 seconds. You can see his smile slowly forming right there.
Would be cancelled. Oh no. That would be terrible.
Oh my god. Guru. You're funny, man.
I guess we'll just have to find out. Let's just find out. But Guru, the whole sport would lose income and they wouldn't make any money and they'd have to get rid of him forever. Oh dear. What a shame. Pay Ioane and Jacek and Shevchenko to fight each other every other weekend, and then we'll have that as the sport. Why is it not improving?
I mean, Invicta FC is an only women's MMA, super low level, and somehow that's still afloat. So I mean, WUFC is much more high level than Invicta FC. Why not?
Why is it not improving? Why are these people coming up who have been training for decades and they're just swinging like children? It can't just be because they're female. It's something in that. Mackenzie Dern. I'll end you on this. Mackenzie Dern, in the build-up to her Werner Jandiroba fight, claimed in the build-up.
Welcome to WUFC, where all fights go to decision. That's gonna be the promo. Wow.
This is the first time I've hard sparred in a training camp my entire career. She's fighting a top 15 ranked opponent in the world, and she claimed in the build-up to that Jandiroba fight, I felt good because this is the first time I've actually hard sparred in a training camp. And I think there's a lot more of that going on. I think there's a lot more of, a coach going, you better fucking jab well or I'm going to beat your ass when you get out of here. You know what I mean? Like American coaches going hard on TJ Dillashaw. And he's like, sure, coach, I'm trying my best, No, make it better. It's not good enough. You're going to lose. And then the women's like, yeah. And the coach is like, you're doing it great, You're doing it great. Yeah. When are you 18, by the way? Anyway, you're doing it great. There's just a different vibe with these men's MMA coaches when it comes to training the women. Train them well. Look at Shevchenko. It's borderline abuse. And it produces great results. I'm not saying abuse them. But, what are we going to do about this? I don't know. I don't even know if this will even be able to go. I'll probably get flagged again. We'll see how it goes. See you later. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Alright, thank you guys for watching. If you guys want me to do another live stream like this again, y'all can definitely do so. I mean, Guru's live right now. Guru's literally live right now. If you want me to do another one, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to like and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.